In this first video, we're going to cover the two foundational concepts for all of economics, both micro and macro. And those are scarcity and opportunity cost. If you find this video useful, please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for topics that you want me to cover in future videos, just leave a comment down below. All right, so let's start with this idea of scarcity. So I'm going to start with a definition. This is not a formal definition in any way, but I think it's an intuitive definition. So scarcity in economics is just the fact that resources are limited. Okay, so in economics, the word scarcity doesn't mean exactly the same thing as the colloquial use of the word scarcity. So usually when we use scarcity in everyday parlance, we're usually talking about some kind of lack or poverty, right? If there's a scarcity of resources, we usually mean that there's a paucity or a lack of that resource, right? Whereas in economics, it means something a little bit different. It just means that resources are not unlimited. They're not infinite. There isn't an infinite amount of them, right? They're limited. So rich countries experience scarcity just as poor countries do. And in fact, no matter how rich any society gets, they will never escape scarcity because they will never succeed in having an unlimited number of resources. Okay? Now, of course, in economics, when I say resources, I mean really anything like time, money, natural resources, any kind of good, right? Education, skills, anything that you could think of that could be useful or valuable in any way in an economy counts as a resource in this context. And the reality is that there will always be a limited number of those resources. Now, this implies the existence of opportunity cost. Okay, so scarcity, I think, is quite straightforward. Okay. But opportunity cost is a little bit less so. It's a little bit subtle, a little bit unintuitive. So I'm going to write down its definition, and then we're going to go into some examples to make it a little bit more tangible. Okay, so opportunity cost is usually defined as the value of the next best alternative that is foregone, or, well, let's just stick to foregone for now. That is foregone when one alternative is chosen. So let's back up to what I was saying before about scarcity. So under conditions of scarcity, resources are limited, which means that every time an economic agent, such as a firm or an individual or a government, or really any other actor that plays any role in the economy, makes a choice to spend resources in a certain way, that actor is also choosing not to spend resources in an alternative way. Okay, very simple example. If you spend money on shoes, you have less money left over to buy hamburgers, right? If you spend your time studying for your economics course, you have less time left over to watch movies. If you spend energy jogging, you have less energy left to walk your dog, right? So any resource, because it's in finite supply, because it is scarce, basically implies that its use takes away resources, takes away the ability of an agent to use other resources. Okay? Dollars for one thing takes away dollars from something else. Time spent doing one thing takes away time from something else, etc. Now, the opportunity cost is nothing but the value of the alternative that is essentially given up or foregone when the agent chooses one alternative, okay? Now, the key thing here is this part. It's the value of the next best alternative, okay? This is really important. So if you choose to spend your time studying for economics, you are taking away time from essentially anything else you could have been doing, okay? But the reality is that had you not been studying, you wouldn't have been doing everything else that you could have been doing. You would have been doing one other thing, one other particular thing, right? So let's say instead of, let's say you choose to study, but if you were not studying, you'd be watching your favorite movie. Well, the opportunity cost of studying, therefore, is the value that you would have derived from watching that movie. Okay? Now, instead of studying, you not only could have been watching a movie, you also could have been going for a walk, you could have been going out for dinner with friends, you could have been doing a whole bunch of other things. The opportunity cost is not the value of all of those other things. It's just the value of the next best thing. Your second choice of activity, if you will. Okay? So let's use a super simple example to make this concrete. Okay? Let's say you're in a restaurant, okay? And you open the menu and you've got 3 choices. You can get a burger, you can get a club sandwich, or you can get a salad. Okay? And now let's say you have preferences over this list, right? I don't know. The club sandwich, say, is your first choice. The salad is your second choice. And the burger is your third choice. In other words, all else being equal, you'd rather have the club sandwich. If the club sandwich isn't available for some reason, then you'll probably take the salad. And if those two are not available, then you'll settle for the burger. Okay? Now, if I asked most students before they had really studied the concept of opportunity cost, what is the opportunity cost of ordering the club sandwich? Most might say, well, it's just the price of the sandwich. Okay, so let's say the sandwich cost, I don't know, $8. Well, maybe the opportunity cost of eating that club sandwich is just $8. It's just the price. Well, that's not exactly right, okay, for reasons that we're about to see. That would be part of the opportunity cost, okay? You have to pay the $8. So yeah, you're giving something up, right? You would have used that $8 for something else, okay? But what I want to argue is that even if all of the items on this menu were free, there would still be opportunity cost. So to make our example really simple, let's just get rid of prices. Let's pretend that everything on the menu is free, okay? So if I order the club sandwich, what am I giving up? Well, you might be tempted to say you're giving up a burger and you're giving up a salad. But in fact, you're only giving up the salad, okay? Because if you were not having the club sandwich, you wouldn't be having both the burger and the salad. You would just be having the salad, okay? So your opportunity cost of choosing the club sandwich, is simply the value of the salad, okay? The value of the salad in this case is the opportunity cost of choosing the club sandwich. Now you might be wondering, well, what do you mean the value of the salad? I mean, what does that really mean? Well, I mean, this is where it gets a little bit fuzzy, but presumably you are ordering food because it's bringing you something. Happiness, value, enjoyment, utility. These are all kind of synonyms in an economic context. So whatever value you're personally deriving, whatever pleasure you're deriving from eating this food, that would be the value of that thing to you. Okay? So now let's put numbers on this. Now you might be wondering, well, hold on a second. How could you put numbers on something as subjective as value? I mean, this might not be it might not be possible to really put like exact numbers on these things. But let's just pretend that we can for a second. Okay, let's just rank these things. So let's say, for example, that a club sandwich brings you twice as much value as the salad, and then the salad in turn brings you twice as much value as the burger. In other words, you like club sandwiches twice as much as you like salads, and you like salads twice as much as you like burgers. Okay, so let's just say that you value the club sandwich at $20. Again, this is not a price. This is your subjective value. Now, you like it twice as much as you like salad, so the salad, presumably, you value at $10, and because you like salads twice as much as you like burgers, you value burgers, presumably, at $5. Okay, now let's say you choose the club sandwich. What is your opportunity cost? The opportunity cost here is $10. It's the value of the next best alternative. Okay, let's take another example here, maybe slightly more complex. Okay, so let's say let's say you have a student. Okay. Now, student chooses to major in economics. All right? Now, the student enrolls full-time. Tuition is equal to, say, $10,000. Okay? The student, let's say, has to buy a meal plan. Okay, let's say the meal plan is another $2,000, right? And then there are miscellaneous fees, as we as students all love, and let's say that's another $500. Okay? Now, because the student is very dedicated to her work, she's choosing to study full-time, so she's foregoing a job. And now let's say this job foregone job would have paid her, I don't know, $5,000. All right. Now, say that if she weren't in school, she would be working, right? So she would be getting paid this $5,000. All right. Now, let's say if she were not working, then she would be, say, going to the movies, right? And she values movies at $100. Okay? And if she were not at the movies, she would be playing soccer, which she values at $50. Okay? Now, what is her opportunity cost of studying economics? Well, the first thing that you have to do when confronted with such examples is really rank order the choices to really figure out like what's actually at stake here. Okay? So her first choice is studying. Now, if she studies, right, these are her costs. So if she studies economics, this would be what she'd be giving up out of her own pocket. The job here is her second choice. If she weren't studying, she'd be working. Her third choice, as I mentioned, is going to the movies. And her fourth choice is playing soccer. Now, the first thing that we can do is realize that the movies and the soccer are both irrelevant, okay? Why? Because by choosing to study economics, what she's really foregoing is the job, right? Because if she were not studying, she would be working, okay? So now this becomes really, really simple. The job would have paid her $5,000, okay? So to begin calculating opportunity cost, right? We can first add in the $5,000. That's the value of the second best alternative. Now, you might say, okay, well, we're done, right? Well, not quite. This is where you really have to start developing an intuition for this kind of thing. It's not really something that could be captured by a definition. You just have to ask yourself, by foregoing the job, how much value is she losing? Okay? If she would be working, not only would she have earned $5,000, but she would have also saved tuition money, meal plan money, and fees, right? If she would be working, she would be earning the $5,000 and she would not be paying any of the money that she has to pay to school, to study, right? So the opportunity cost is not just $5,000, but it's $5,000 plus the $10,000 plus the $2,000 plus the $500. Okay? So this is actually her opportunity cost. Now this adds up to, if I'm not mistaken, $17,500. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay, so her opportunity cost is $17,500. Now, there would be sort of another way of approaching this, which I personally find a little bit less intuitive, but I found useful in explaining this to students over the years. So I'm going to just flag it and go through this below. But I guess you can ask yourself the following question with this problem, okay? Let's just bring this down here for 1 second. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay. We can, like we said, eliminate this whole movies and soccer business because it's not relevant. And now we could kind of follow the following process, which really comes out to the same thing, but might make more sense to you. So we can ask ourselves, how much money or how much extra money would be in the student's bank account had she not studied economics? Well, then it's really easy. She would have the $5,000 from her job in her bank account, because that's the amount of money she would have earned working. Plus, she would have had the $10,000 in her bank account that she did not pay for her tuition, plus the $2,000 that she would not have paid towards the meal plan, plus the $500 that she would have not paid towards her fees, right? So this is just a slightly different way of looking at it. It's going to do it for this video. Like I said, if you have any further suggestions, if you have any questions about opportunity cost, something I didn't cover, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.